Time to finally get some staples out of the way and on record. Time for some Creed fragrances. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances, and this is Fragrance Speed Dating with Creed. Yes, we are talking about Creed. In this video format, I plow through a mountain of samples and discovery sets to really get to know perfumery as a whole, to learn more about fragrance houses, more about fragrance genres, and heck, even about fragrances. You guys seem to really appreciate this format. It's super fun for me because I just learned so much from it. And today we're going to be tackling a house which has been high on my list. To be completely honest, this one here will be a little bit of a different speed dating episode because I have indeed smelled a lot of these fragrances already, if not all of them. I just never done so on camera. I rarely talk about the House of Creed because it's not one of those houses that necessarily speaks to me. We'll get to that in a sec. But here we go, on camera, on record, me talking about Creeds. And by the way, these ones here are the heavy hitters from the brand. There are 5 fragrances, and this one here is called the Men's Inspiration Set. So yeah, why don't I talk about the House of Creed a little bit more? Why do I not own any of their fragrances? I guess it all comes down to the fact that vibe-wise, I'm not necessarily jiving with the brand. They come across as too put together, too serious, but not in a fun way. Elegance, which is also a British brand, is a little bit more irony-filled. They don't take themselves so seriously. They have the Portrait collection, which is super fun and a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but Creed never breaks character. They're just so stuck up. It feels like a boring person. It feels a little bit mature as a brand. And the House of Creed, I know what they represent. They're meant to be this representation of English fragrances. It's a brand that was born in London in 1760 and then subsequently got moved to Paris in the late 1800s. But anyway, despite my bias, despite everything, whether you like it or not, Creed is definitely one of those brands that is here to stay. They can be acknowledged and respected as one of those cornerstones of modern men's perfumery with bangers and bestsellers such as Aventus and Green Irish Tweed. Those fragrances specifically don't necessarily speak to me, but today I'm here to redeem them. I'm here to rediscover them. Speaking of, as I mentioned before, this set contains 5 fragrances, and they are Aventus, Green Irish Tweed, Original Vetiver, Silver Mountain Water, and Millésime Impérial. Also, as I mentioned before, I have smelled them all, but it's been a minute, so I'm very, very curious to rediscover them, to resample them, because I barely remember what some of these smell like. Before we get into the episode and actually start smelling stuff, I just want to quickly remind you how this format works. I usually spray these fragrances on paper because I want to replicate the idea of walking into a shop to smell these fragrances for the first time. And when you do that, you're usually handed paper strips and you're tasked with the difficult decision of evaluating a fragrance based on the opening, based on your first impressions. I want to do the same thing. I'll be approaching these fragrances in third person, and I'll be keeping my impressions very, very brief because again, in a shop, you just can't stand around and waiting for the dry down. So this will be very much speed dating style. Also, for each fragrance, I'll be assigning a score at 0 to 10 just to help me understand which is the one I prefer. And at the end of the episode, I'll be wearing that one there on skin to see how it develops, to see how it compares from paper. In the case of this very small discovery set from Creed, which only contains 5 fragrances, I might even decide to wear 2 on skin, the ones that I like the most. Anyway, let's get into it because I'm very, very excited. All right, time to get to it. As I said, this one here is the Men's Inspiration Set by Creed. I actually really like this set. It feels very, very high quality. The embossed logo on top is really, really nice. Everything just feels on point. By the way, this set was relatively cheap. I think it was 35 euros or something like that, which is not that bad for 5 fragrances of this caliber, of this cost, because these fragrances are quite expensive in typical Creed fashion. Anyway, we take off the sleeve, which is again very high quality, and we're left with a box. The box feels really nice. It feels extremely high quality. Once again, it showcases a beautiful embossed logo on the cover. You pop open the top and you're presented with the 5 fragrances. Actually, in the back of the cover, there's also a little booklet, which we're going to be reading right now. Not really sure what's in here. It says, house established in 1760, and inside it says, established in 1760 by James Henry Creed, the House of Creed enjoys 7 generations of craftsmanship and creativity. Handcrafted creations of distinction, elegance, and originality for royal households and patrons for over 250 years. Each and every Creed fragrance is an alchemy of the finest, rarest natural ingredients we have selected from around the world. Yeah, it's a lot of jargon, it's a lot of marketing. Again, we all know that Creed has gone a little bit downhill, but that's besides the point. All that I'm gonna say right now is that this set really presents extremely well. I'm really hoping that the fragrances follow suit and live up to the extremely high expectations set by the brand. Anyway, let's get right to it. Here are the fragrances. Let's pull out the first one, and it's Aventus. So we're starting off with a bang. This one here is definitely the most popular. Obviously, I know what Aventus smells like. I have smelled it before. I've never owned it, but it's been a minute actually. I think it's been more or less a year. The samples are the usual samples with the bad atomizer. This is a little bit disappointing, especially coming from Creed, which is renowned as one of the more luxurious, more prestigious houses on the market. But I digress. I'm kind of tired of ranting about these little atomizers. Let's just give this 2 sprays and see where it takes us. And by the way, I have no idea which batch of Aventus this is. All I know is that this set is modern. I bought it recently, and all of the fragrances are basically modern, so I'll be judging them for that. And to be completely honest, I'm not really one of those people to be seeking out specific batches, specific batch codes. I just don't care, honestly. I really can't be bothered. I'm one of those people that really likes the idea of going into a shop or maybe even online and being able to purchase always the best version. Obviously, that's not the case specifically with Aventus, which is plagued by batch variation. Again, I will not be considering any of that here. So this smells, well, it smells like Aventus. So who hasn't smelled Aventus? Aventus is such an icon. It's synonymous to modern masculinity in today's fragrance world. And it's so weird because despite this DNA being extremely recognizable, this still kind of smells niche to me. And not niche in a complexity level, not niche because it's challenging or anything like that. It just doesn't smell like a designer. Designers don't smell like this. And again, I'm sure that a lot of designers now have copied the DNA to smell sort of similar, but this remains fairly unique, even today. It's crazy. So again, obviously it smells like Aventus. It opens up with a fruitiness, which is tart and zingy, has a definite energy to it. It's a little bit citrusy, it's a little bit, well, I wanted to say pineapple-y, but honestly, I'm not really picking up on much pineapple here at all. It's more just citrusy, kind of like a citrus rind, like a lime, like a bergamot, like a lemon peel. Well, not even a lemon peel, because lemon peel has a very specific flavor to it, and this is more green. It's so strange because despite the scent coming across as distinctly citrusy, very, very recognizably citrusy, it's not a fresh scent whatsoever. There's something in the mid, there's something in the base which is sort of bubbling up, giving this fragrance a little bit of density. It's giving it a little bit of smokiness, it's giving it a tinge of masculinity, maybe a little bit of muskiness. And it smells mossy, maybe oak moss. It smells a little bit leathery, it smells a little bit woody. It's like a mix of all those things. It almost smells like the base of Terre d'Hermès by Hermès. And again, I know what Aventus smells like. I'm just trying to look at it in third person, trying to perceive it for the first time. Yeah, the base is something like Bois Impérial by Essential Parfums. It has that nondescript woodiness. It doesn't smell necessarily realistic. It just has a really, I would say a really nice masculine touch to it. Again, it's a little bit stereotypical, it's a little bit bro, but it is undeniably well done, and I totally understand how this fragrance has stood the test of time. This on skin would probably warm up a lot, it would probably fill out a lot, and again, I know what Aventus smells like, especially on skin, but I'm trying to look at it in third person. Yeah, this would be one that I would be definitely trying on skin. I would have to give this a strong 7, 7.5. Again, it's not super potent, but it's extremely well balanced. It comes across as elegant, well put together. Not really my style. It doesn't really fit my personality, but it is incredibly good. The second fragrance that we're going to be smelling is a celebrated green Irish Tweed. I sampled this a couple times, and I have to admit that I've even sampled it on video before in a first impression comparison video. I wasn't too crazy impressed, but at that point, I think that given the fact that I've sampled it again from an official Creed sample, I think that that decant, that 5 ml sample, wasn't necessarily all it. And there was something wrong with it. Because when I went back to it with my official Creed sample many months later, it smelled definitely a lot better. Anyway, I think that we're gonna be confirming what's up today. Let's give it 2 good sprays. And let's see what's up. So green Irish Tweed, again, I know what this smells like. I know what this is supposed to smell like. It's supposed to smell like rolling green hills in Ireland. Again, very, very specific, very descriptive. I have to say before I say even anything about the scent is that the descriptions, the inspirations for Creed fragrances are not necessarily one-to-one. These are not the most narrative fragrances ever. They're more like very romanticized versions of these images. So again, third person hat on. This smells very light. It smells watery. It smells fresh and airy, but it does smell a lot more synthetic than something like Aventus. There's some sort of chemical in here which is definitely pushing the scent forward, giving it a lot of lift. It might be maybe ambroxan. It might be something like that. It smells a little bit like empty volume. I don't hate it because it does smell good. It does smell relatively high quality. But it does smell very, very light and airy. It smells very clean. That is important. And I think that this is actually one of the reasons why this scent is so incredibly popular. Because this scent profile would make for an excellent office scent. Do I get the image of these green rolling hills? Not really. It doesn't really smell like nature at all. It just smells kind of wet. It smells dewy. It smells fresh. It smells very clean and airy. I'm not even picturing the green color per se. Green fragrances, some green fragrances can be extremely vivid in imagery, extremely vivid in saturation, in that representation of that color. This one smells a lot more gray violet. I'm almost picturing one of those overcast skies in Ireland. I think I'm picking up on violet as a flower or something else which is, again, watery. Yeah, so the bulk of the scent is basically this sort of ambroxan thing, which is pushing the scent a lot. It's giving it a lot of freshness. It's giving it a lot of airiness. And then there is this very delicate floral, maybe again a violet or something along those lines, giving it a lot of dewiness. This scent it's pretty. It's objectively pretty. Not really my thing. Would I wear it at the office? Yeah, absolutely. It's super wearable. But it doesn't necessarily evoke anything in me. Between the two, I would say I think I prefer Aventus. Aventus, off paper at least, just comes across as a little bit more full-bodied. And I know it's like comparing apples to oranges. These scents are not really the same thing. They're not even the same season. Green Irish Tweed could be worn all year long, but it's definitely coming across as very fresh and very, very effervescent. While Aventus has a little bit more of this masculine mossiness to it. It's nice though. It's elegant, just not my thing. I would have to give this an objective, maybe 7 out of 10. And once again, putting on my third person hat, seeing myself walk into a shop to smell this, I'd probably think something like, wow, this smells really good and it smells high quality. How much is it? But then when I get pitched the price, I'm like, yeah, not really for me. I would have to give this an objective 7. Sample number 3, this one here is the only one with the white cap. This one here is Silver Mountain Water. Again, a massively popular fragrance. This is basically meant to replicate the idea of smelling some sort of a waterfall. And I've smelled this fragrance many times back. I haven't smelled it in a minute, but I don't remember it, once again, smelling like a waterfall. This is maybe a very romanticized version of a waterfall because a waterfall doesn't really smell like much, objectively. So yeah, I remember this being a little bit more citrusy and more floral. I'm not really sure. Again, let's give it 2 sprays, see where we're at, and let me put on my third person hat. Very, very interesting. And not necessarily a scent profile, although very, very good. It's just because I'm surprised of how different it is from my memory of it. I remember this being a lot more citrusy, and that might be due to the fact that the last version of this that I smelled was actually Mephisto by Zerjov. And that one there carries a lot more punch, it has a lot more personality. This is, once again, very, very light. It kind of resembles Green Irish Tweed in presence. But it's lacking that distinct aroma chemical which is really pushing the scent. It's lacking that canned air smell, that sort of ambroxan feeling. Weird, difficult to describe. So it does open citrusy, and that is not necessarily waterfall-like. It's a very faint citrus though. It's a fizzy, citrusy peel note. It almost feels like mandarin or something like that. It's very, very light and fresh. And under that, there's a little bit of something powdery, really building up the body of the scent, but it's also kind of metallic. I'm picturing, for whatever reason, this metallic shiny object, maybe like a chromed out sphere. Very interesting, very difficult to describe. It's also super elegant and very sophisticated in typical Creed fashion, but it's also extremely light. It might even be lighter than something like green Irish Tweed. I think I like it more though. Green Irish Tweed had that canned air feeling, which I'm definitely not a fan of. And it was trying too hard to picture these rolling hills without success. I feel that this is a lot more abstract. And I can totally see myself wearing it maybe on a white shirt at the office. This would be exceptional. And that is despite the longevity of this smelling absolutely terrible, even off strip. It just lacks a lot of body. There's really nothing in the base that can sustain this fragrance. This smells like something that would have basically like an hour longevity. Really interesting. Again, I get no waterfall whatsoever because I really can't imagine a scent smelling like a waterfall. But this is beautiful. It's beautiful, it's sophisticated, it's super, super clean. It has this almost clean iron shirt vibe because of that metallic note. Yeah, very, very pretty. I don't know what to say. I think that this is excellent in the opening. I'm not really considering the dry down. I can't forecast the longevity, but I can't see it here. This is pretty awesome. I'd have to give this like a 7.5 out of 10. Fragrance number 4, this one here is Original Vetiver. As you may know if you watch this channel, I'm not a huge fan of the note of Vetiver, but this one here, to my memory, is very, very light, very clean and sophisticated. This is like the ultimate office scent. At least I remember this being that. Again, I haven't smelled this in a very, very long time. It's been at least 2 years. I haven't really seeked that out because, well, I don't really like Creed and I don't really like Vetiver, so I had no real push to do this, but let's give it a go. 2 sprays, and let's see what this is all about. Right, so this is immediately the most green of them all, even greener than green Irish Tweed. This one smells kind of like grass. It smells a little bit like vegetation. I'm happy to report that it's incredibly subtle, incredibly clean. It's not smoky, not pungent at all. It's definitely not your typical Vetiver, which is again bringing a smile to my face because I'm not a huge fan of that note. This smells, wow, super nice, super, super nice. It smells a little bit citrusy, but it's more of a suggestion of a citrus. It's not super obvious at all. I think it actually might be one of those Vetiver types which comes across as a little bit citrusy and effervescent. Wow, this smells really, really good. I'm so astonished. I don't remember this at all. It's been a minute. As I said, it's been at least 2 years, and this is really surprising me. I'm surprised by the cleanliness of this, and it smells like clean linen. It smells like a dryer sheet. But compared to other fragrances that tend to smell like dryer sheets, this is like the ultimate version because it has this weird dampness about it. It almost smells like something that came out of the wash and it's still warm, it's still very humid, but it's not dripping. It's almost just radiating this foggy dampness. And this smell of detergent, which is incredibly luxurious. Wow, this is so addicting. I'm really mesmerized by this. This is the one that I like the most by far. Wow. This is really making me smile because I'm not really sure what happened. Maybe my tastes have evolved. Maybe I really didn't give this a time of day at the time, but this is really, really pretty. I would totally pull this off at the office. This is like cigarette scent material here. It's not bitter at all. It's not dirty. It's not smoky. It's not your typical Vetiver. This is a clean, vegetative, very moist, very damp, soapy. It smells like the most beautiful white bar of soap ever. Wow, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. By far my favorite. I would have to give this a solid 8. Wow, I'm actually really, really impressed. I think I need to wear this on skin because this is super, super nice. Wow. Again, I'm gushing over this, but I totally was not expecting to like this so much. I was actually not even expecting to like this given the fact that it's a Vetiver. This is absolutely beautiful. Wow, so impressed. Solid 8, maybe even 8.5. Last but not least, fragrance number 5. This one here is Millésime Impérial. This one is a famous scent for being very marine-like. This one here, I think it's the one in the gold bottle. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this, namely the fragrance apprentice, and he really, really likes this. And I think that he even destroyed the bottle because he couldn't review it or something like that. And apparently this scent was reminiscent of this coast. It's a little bit marine. I think I remember him talking about pines or some sort of forest on the coast. So yeah, I'm very, very curious. This seems completely up my alley. Let's give it a couple sprays. Very, very interesting. Off the bat, very beautiful. I'm definitely picking up on that marine component, but it's not super obvious. It almost smells more like celery or some sort of a cucumber. Some sort of watery, vegetative thing, like crunchy. It's kind of marine, but it's not your obvious niche marine scent with the heavy dose of cologne or with the overdose of ambroxan that sometimes can even go fishy. This is not that. This is watery and it's fresh. I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm trying to picture that image that I heard the fragrance apprentice talk about. Again, this coastline with this forest, but I'm not really getting it. I think I'm getting the color blue, maybe like a desaturated turquoise. It's not really saturated at all. It's not very vivid. This is definitely not the sea under the sun reflecting that light. It's not shimmering. It's more of a foamy sea. It's more like the sea foam, which is kind of rolling on the beach. Again, it's not super salty. It's more gently aquatic. And it smells a little bit green, like vegetative, like a celery I was talking about before. It's pretty, but despite me being very much into marine scents, I'm not really sure this is for me because it's too romantic and a little bit indecisive, dare I say it. I feel that it's not really leaning into the marineness completely. But at the same time, it's not even going into the beachy vibe. I'm not really sure what it's picturing. And again, it's not necessarily a fault of the scent. I'm just not really connecting with it. Would I wear this? Probably yes. This is interesting. I think it's the most unique smelling out of the 5 that I smelled. And it's probably due to the fact that I think I smelled this maybe once in a shop. So my memory of this is definitely the haziest. This is actually really pretty. So I'm looking at my scents and I'm trying to figure out if I have something that smells like this, but not really. Very, very interesting. I like it though. I like it a lot. It's incredibly well done. This also smells like it would have a little bit more body, especially at this stage in the opening. I feel that it would have a longevity similar to the Aventus that I smelled. There's something in here which is bubbling out from the base, giving the scent profile, giving the fragrance a little bit more presence, a little bit more volume. Especially when I compare this to something like Silver Mountain Water, which, as beautiful as it is, felt very, very thin. It's definitely interesting though, I have to at least give it that. This is a really unique take on a marine scent. It's incredibly classy, very, very elegant. And despite not being my favorite, I have to give it high marks. I would have to say that this is like a 7.5 out of 10. My favorite still being the original Vetiver. That one there is magnificent, and I'm still astonished by that beautiful soapiness. It's really, really great. So yeah, I can easily say that I'll be spraying that one there, original Vetiver, on my arm. I might be spraying this one here on my other arm. Yeah, this is like a 7.5 out of 10. Is it going a little bit incensey? Am I imagining stuff? Interesting. Yeah, 7.5 out of 10, maybe leaning towards an 8. My favorites are, yes, original Vetiver for sure, and I would say Millésime Impérial. I will be spraying those two on my skin to see how they perform. Let's give it first a spray. I'll be spraying the Millésime Impérial on my left arm, and I'll be spraying the original Vetiver on my right arm. In the meantime, while we wait these to evaporate a little bit, this experience was brief. Again, it's only 5 fragrances, but to be completely honest, I think I'll be doing a lot more 5 fragrance sets because it's refreshing, it's nowhere near as fatiguing, and I think this was due. Creed is a brand that needs, again, acknowledgement because it is so recognizable, so iconic. And whether you like it or not, as I said before, it's a brand, in my opinion, that is here to stay. So why not appreciate it for what it is? And if the scents don't last that long, it's okay. I mean, it's not really okay because they are very, very pricey. Also, recently, when I was in Rome, I smelled Oud Zarian, the latest release. And to be completely honest, I actually enjoyed it. I thought that it smelled really interesting. And I found the opening to be somewhat similar to Royal Tobacco by Amouage, yet a little bit more smooth, a little bit more vanillic, a little bit more gourmand. Will I be buying a Creed anytime soon? Maybe, maybe not. If anything, this original Vetiver off strip, off paper really promised high things. Let's see how it goes on skin. Wow. Okay, so on my right arm, I have the original Vetiver and it smells beautiful. It smells soapy, like soap, clean, like dryer sheet. All those impressions that I got off paper are still retained. Maybe the scent is getting a little bit more vetiverness just because my skin is warming it up and maybe it's pulling out a little bit of that base. But it smells absolutely beautiful. It smells like one of those bars of soap from Marci. And it's so weird, it almost makes me smile. This is probably due to me growing up in Italy. But the very specific smell of the soap from Marci is incredibly iconic in Italy because that smell, that scent, that flavor was overused throughout many detergents and cleaning products in general. And I'm picturing this giant soap bar that was used to like pre-attack spots on clothes before putting them into the wash. And that soap has this aggressive soapy smell to it, which is very, very familiar to me. Again, if any Italians are watching me, Creed Original Vetiver smells like sapone di Marsiglia. I really can't put it in any other words. It's so, so specific. But in the best way possible. It's like the best quality, the cleanest version of that. And I think that it would smell absolutely amazing on a day-to-day basis. Again, I really consider it signature scent. It's really, really beautiful. And if this has any longevity whatsoever, I'll definitely be buying a bottle because it's really, really nice. So, on to Millésime Impérial. Interesting. On my arm, a lot more of that marine facet is coming off, a lot more of that saltiness. But it's not invasive whatsoever. All that crunchiness of that celery cucumber thing is completely gone. And I'm almost getting some sort of metallicness. Maybe it's, again, it might be some sort of marine note, marine accord, or marine molecule in there, which is giving this sheen. It almost feels something similar to the Silver Mountain water. And I'm picturing this sea, which is very, very calm, and it's like reflecting the light almost in a metallic way. You know how sometimes you look at the water and it almost looks like mercury? This is the image that I'm getting. Again, it's not a festive sea, it's not a beach sea, it's not a sunny sea. This is like a calm, bubbling sea of mercury. Beautiful. Wow. I would not buy this though, because I have other marine scents that I like a lot more, namely Acqua di Sale, which in my opinion is way more potent, way more romantic, way more beautiful, while being a lot more descriptive and a lot more direct. The Creed version is what it is. It's a Creed version. I still very much like it, but I would never spend that kind of money on a Creed. Overall, fun stuff. I think that this sample set has been a success. I have honestly, in my opinion, redeemed these scents, which are loved, yes, by the community, but they're also kind of hated because of their price and longevity and the overall current Creed reputation. I think that they still have a place, and I think that they still stand a chance. I think that they still deserve of the reputation that the Creed brand has built. These are incredibly sophisticated, very, very refined, and very elegant. I would definitely wear either of these at work in every possible situation. Again, these are utilitarian scents, which are not necessarily trying to be anything else. They're not narrative, they're not image evoking, they're not really anything like that. And yeah, the longevity on these might be super bad, I would not be surprised at all, but these are not necessarily made for the average Joe. These are made for the person that is prioritizing wear experience and scent profile over longevity and overall performance. I would have to say that if you want this sort of scent profile and a lot more performance, you can feel free to go for a clone. Again, that is not necessarily being condescending or passive aggressive. I'm just saying that horses for courses, you know? And in this case specifically, these smell very, very high quality. They smell refined. And I feel that injecting a lot more performance in these scents would ruin the actual scent profile. All right, overall, fantastic experience. I do feel that I redeemed myself. I do feel that I re-experienced Creed, and I'm happy to have this on record. I'm happy to have this on video. Let me know about your experience with Creed fragrances in general, and more specifically about these 5. Have you tested these? Have you tested the modern versions? How do they perform? Which one is your favorite? Leave a comment down below. I'm very, very excited to hear your opinions. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and it helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more videos to come, many more first impressions, reviews, and whatnot. I'm also very, very excited to showcase some new fragrances. Stay tuned for that. See you in the next one, and cheers.